Hello everyone, you are welcome back to this class. Uh, in this class, we want to look at trigonometry of angles greater than 360 degrees, and we're also going to look at trigonometry angles of negative angles. And this is going to be the last part of this series of trigonometry. So in the next class, we'll be looking at some other things. So exactly. So we're going to start with the first one. We'll start with the first one, and that is so when you have trigonometry of angles that is greater than 90 degree. So the main thing you are going to do is to divide the given angle by 360 degrees. So when you divide it by 360, whatever you have, multiply by 360, then subtract it from the angle given. So the remaining angles you get will then be is what you are going to consider for the quadrants it fits into. So let me use this example to explain so that you get it clearly. Now in this example, you are asked to determine the quadrants of 8,420 degrees. So you can see that 8,420 is very big. It's an angle that is greater than 360. So what we are going to do now is that we're going to divide 8,420 by 360. So I should pick my calculator here. So and divide it. I'm going to have this. So just hold on. So that means I'm going to have this. Let's have. So we have this. Okay. So that means 8,420 divided by 360 degrees. So when you divide this now, so what we're going to have is 8,000 8,420 divided by 360 degrees. So that gives us 23, 8,420 divided by 360. So that gives us 23, 23.38. So now this one gives, so that means what we are going to do now is we're going to multiply 23 by 360. So and see what we're going to have. 23 times 360. So that gives us 8,280. So that's going to give us 8,280. That is 360 multiplied by 23. That gives 8,280. 280. So we are now going to subtract this 8,420 minus 8,280. Let's see what we're going to have. So, uh, so we're going to have this 8,420 minus 8,280, and that gives us 140. 100 and what? 140. 140 degrees, as you can see. So we are now going to determine. So 140 degrees falls in which quadrant? That is second quadrant. So this is going to be second quadrant. So that is what we're doing. That's what the answer is going to give us. I hope that is clear. So the first thing, let me explain again, is that you are going to divide the given angle that is more than 360 by 360. Whatever you get, you're going to get decimal. So the O part, multiply by 360. So when you multiply by 3, subtract it from the given angle. So whatever you now get will be the angle you are going to consider for the quadrant. And that's how you solve that. I hope that is very clear. So let's look at another example. Let's look at this example. This is the second example here. Let me remove this. So let's bring this here. All right. Okay. So we have evaluate the following: tan 865 degrees cos 778 degrees. The same thing will be done here. So the first thing you're going to do, is to see which angle, which quadrant will this 865 fall. So we're going to say 865 divided by 360. All right. So let's see what we're going to get. 865 divided by 360. So we got 2.4, 2.40, and so on and so forth. So which one are going to say 360 multiplied by 2, and that's going to give us 720. So let's subtract that. 865 minus 720 degrees. So this will give us 865 minus 720. So that gives us 145 degrees. So the question you now ask yourself is that 145 falls in which quadrant? That is second quadrant. So you now ask, uh, first in the second quadrant, tan, is it positive or negative in the second quadrant? So you know that tan is negative in the second quadrant. Tan is positive in the fourth quadrant. We have discussed that, right? So that means we're going to have it to be tan, that's going to then be tan 145 degrees, which will then go to minus tan 180 minus 145. All right, minus 145. So that means we're going to have minus tan 35 degrees. So which means our answer will be negative. So you now go and find tan 35. 35. We're going to find 35 tan, and that is a 0.7002. 0.7002. So that is the answer we have there. I hope that is very clear. So that is that on that one. So for the second one, the same thing will be done as well. So we check 7. So we're going to find cos 778. Cos 778. So 778 is more than 360. So we're going to find out 778, that is 720 as well. So for number 2, that will be 720. It's going to be 2 as well. That's going to be 778 minus 720. So that's going to give us 58 degrees. So that means we are saying cos 58 degrees. And cos 58 degrees falls in which quadrant? First quadrant. And first quadrant, cos is positive. All the ratios are positive in the first quadrant. I hope I'm making sense. Making sense. All right. So we then, what we just need to do is just check 58 degrees, 58 cos. So that is a 0.5299. 0.5299. I hope that is very clear. So that is that on this one. So that is the trigonometric of angles greater than 360. So the next, you want to look at angles, negative angles. Trigonometric of negative angles is the next thing we want to look at in this class. So when you have negative angles, what to expect to do is that we are going to treat, these are treated by adding 360 to the negative, then use the answer to determine the quadrants it belongs. So that is, we are going to use the multiples of 360. So if what you have there is even greater than 360, so use multiples of 360 degrees. You add it to the angle. So what do I mean by that? If you look at the first angle here, so determine the first set of questions here, determine the quadrants of the following angles, right? So we want to determine the quadrants in this case. Oh, excuse me. This is obstructing it. So let me move it down. All right. Okay. All right. So you can see this is a negative angle, right? Okay. So what we are going to do is this. We are going to add 3 because 250 degrees is less than 360 and it's negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, so for the first one, so we just add, that is 3 minus 250 degrees plus 360 degrees. So which is the same thing as saying 360 degrees minus 250 degrees. So which will give us what? So that is going to give us 110 degrees. So we are determining the quadrants. So the quadrants of this one is what? Second quadrant. That is the answer to the question. Then to the second one, question. So what we have is minus 1295 degrees. So what we are going to do is that you look at the multiples of 360 that is closer to 1295. All right, so that is what we're going to look at. So multiples of 360 that is closer to it is we're just going to say 360 times 3. Let's see what we have. So we have 1080, and that is closer to it. If we had 360 to it, will be more than it. So can this it will be more than this. So in that case, we are going to if you had 360 to it, that means we are looking at 1440 to determine the because we want to turn it to positive. In that case, we are going to add that means we're going to add plus, so then be plus 1440 degrees, which is the same thing as 1440 degrees minus 1295 degrees. So when we subtract this, so mine, excuse me, 1440 minus 1295 degrees. So that will give us 145 degrees. So this falls under your second contract as well. I hope that is very clear. So for the third one, 800 degrees. So what we can is multiples of 360 that is closer to 720. So 720, that means you're going to say 720, then above it, 360 plus 720, 360 plus 720. And that gives us 1080. So which means for number 3 here, so it's going to be minus 800 plus 1080. 1080 degrees, which is same thing as 1080 degrees minus 800. So when we go do that, so 1080 uh, minus 800, so we're going to have 280. So 280 degrees. And this one falls where? So this 280 is more than 270. So that means this one falls under the fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant. How this is clear? This one falls under the fourth quadrant. That is that on this one. So we move to the next one that we have there. We need to want to look at more examples. So the another example that we're going to look at now is this. So evaluate the following. So we want to evaluate this. We want to get the answer to this one. So how do we go about this? So it's very simple, right? So divide it into 3. All right, let's divide it into 3. All right, so the first thing is that this negative here, we are going to change it to positive. So that is going to give us cos minus 320. We had 360 to it. So that is going to give us cos 40 degrees. And 40, cos 40 degrees is positive. This because it's under first quadrant. Check cos 40 degrees now. So 40 degrees and then cos. That is 0.7660. So 0.7660. So that is that on that. You can see it's very simple, straightforward. So the same thing with this one. For us to do this one, that will be tan minus 55 plus 360. So that's going to give us tan. So that 360 minus 55. That's going to be 305. So 305. So 305 tan is also take 4. So that is fourth quadrant. This is under fourth quadrant. So since it's fourth quadrant, it's tan positive in the fourth quadrant. All students take 4. So it is negative in the fourth quadrant. So cos is the positive in what? In the fourth quadrant. So that means this is going to be negative. So minus tan 305 degrees. So just go to 305. So, and this one too, just you can use your calculator straight and find it, or you can change it to the other one when I explain the other one. So that means this just 305 times. So it's going to give us negative straight. Is that clear? That's going to be negative. So that is 1.4281. 1.42, 1.4281. So 1.4281. So that is the answer to this one. Then for the last one here, so we have sine 1 minus 120. So that means we have sine 120, 120, sine 100 plus 360 degrees. So that will be sine. So when you subtract it, that's going to give us 240 degrees. All right. So you now ask yourself, which quadrant does 240 fall? So it falls under the second quadrant. No, third quadrant. Less than 270. Third quadrant. So and in the third quadrant, sign is negative. Sign is negative. That is sine uh, 2 sine 240 minus 180. You can find it straight. It is negative, right? Minus sine. So this is going to give us 60 degrees. So if you use your calculator and use sine 60 degrees, you're going to get the same thing. So 60 degrees sine, it was 0.8660. That is minus 0.8660. And at the same time, press sine 240 to get the same thing. 240 sine to get the same thing, minus 0.8660. I hope this is very clear to you. So that is that. That is what we have under this topic for you. So, in the next topic, and this is the end of the trigonometric ratios for this class. So, we're going to look at another topic in our next video. This one has blocked this. So that is that. So remove that. So that is that on that. So we're going to meet in our next video.